Stop podcast surfing. You're in the right place. I've always wanted to sing. Hi, everyone. I am your host, Kimbralon B. I'm a licensed counselor, but I'm not your counselor. And I'm also the host of Good Tea and Reads. So I created Good Tea and Reads so we could use everyday topics, issues, and current events to explain the importance of mental health awareness. Most mental health discussions are so important because so many people suffer in silence or do not realize that they're dealing with mental health issues because of stigma, society, and family expectations, and other reasons. Some episodes on Good Tea and Reads are heavy and will make us think. Other episodes will be very enlightening or refreshing. But either way, you will have an awesome experience. Here's the disclaimer. Any information shared on Good Tea and Reads is not a substitute for seeking professional care from another professional. Any information shared on Good Tea and Reads is not meant to diagnose the subjects or persons discussed on this podcast. Also, any information shared on this show is for conversational, inspirational, and educational purposes as well. So, all right, this intro is long enough. All right, so go grab your cups really quick. Go, 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 go. So I can pour this piping hot tea. Meet me inside on this episode in 1, 2, 3. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Good Tea and Reads. I am your hostess with the mostest, Kimbralon B. Hi, everyone. Let me tell you, the dedication that I have to bring this podcast is top tier today.
Absolutely.
And my guests, too,
Our
because
determination has been tested.
yes, it has. Determination, my maturity, like age-wise, and my maturity on how I handle things, you guys, okay? 30 minutes trying to figure out how to get it connected when I just should have just sent out a new link, right? So, one thing that I learned from this thing that I was going to share with you is having a distraction technique in place to just keep yourself calm. All right. So, I found out that singing is a good distraction technique. One may be saying, I don't know how to sing. That's good if you don't know how to sing because really you're distracting yourself from anxieties, depression, anger, flipping out when your tech stuff isn't working right. Okay, everyone. So I had to utilize it. So just know this. You may have to do this every now and again. And you're probably wondering if this is your first time tuning in, who is this person that is just word vomiting on me right now? Well, let me introduce myself quickly. I am Kimberlon B. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I'd like to say that me nor my guests, we're not your counselor. And the reason I'm saying that because any information we talk about on the show today, it's knowledgeable information, but we don't know your unique situation. So please pair up with somebody that's closest to you that can help you and your specific needs. So I created this show because I realized as a licensed counselor that not everybody makes it to me because of stigma, finances, and honestly, they may not know where to go. So I decided to take my show on the road via podcast so I can bring this information to you. And as you see, sometimes you get me and sometimes you get some of the fabulous people that I met along the way. And I asked them to come on and they like, all right, I'm there. I got you.
Mhm.
and they endure with you through your tech issues as well. So this is great. So, y'all, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, I like to give my informal definition on how I met my guests, and I like my guests to give their formal. So, me and my guest was at a networking event. One thing you're going to learn, Kimberlon B loves going to networking events because I love to find people that have the same passion to educate the community as myself. But one thing about this networking thing, there's people in the room, right? You're looking around. I don't know anyone. And all of a sudden, you gravitate towards people. And then you're like, hi, I'm Kimberlon B. I'm a licensed counselor. Then you hear other people that's in healthcare, and you're like, just gravitate towards each other. And you learn so much about each other. And some you may connect with and say, hey, see you next time. Others you like, I got to have your phone number. I got to have everything. It's funny because me and my guest, hope you don't mind me sharing this, Stephanie.
Oh, no.
So we gravitated towards each other. Then,
Like attracts like.
yes. And we
Mhm.
realized, hey, I like you. You like me. This is cool. Let's exchange information.
And you changed my life with the
See,
electronic with electronic business cards. I am the coolest chick on the block now. You just scan my QR code and life is so much simpler and people absolutely love it. Simplest thing that has made my business grow already.
see what I'm saying? See? And we had to exchange business cards. Stephanie was like, I have my business cards that I just made. I had this QR code that somebody taught me how to make. So we were talking about how we could just help each other out. We was talking about how we're cool kids, but where we're at in life, we're still navigating these tech issues, i.e. like today. But we made it work. And I said, I would love for you to come on the podcast. Stephanie said yes. And here we are today. So, Stephanie, I gave my version of you because I think you're super awesome and great and so cool. And I got a friend out of this, you all, but I'm going to let Stephanie introduce herself formally.
And it absolutely was just that. It was a networking event that we do at a breathwork studio that we go to that I highly recommend. Breath.energy. We'll plug them for it. And it's called Heal Her. And so it's a like-minded professionals who are in the mental and physical health and wellness space, getting to know each other and finding resources. And I love being able to connect people into the next space that they need to go into their lives. Formally, my name's Stephanie Good, and I am a registered behavior technician by profession. So I provide ABA therapy as my technical background. And I'm branching into what I call life skills coaching. So it's beyond your mental health, make your next level in your career. This is functional, practical, useful things. And my company is called Maximum Potential. And so that's what I'm looking to do is to help maximize your potential and your quality of life to make you move up into that next level that your goals and your dreams are.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you so much for giving us that information. And Stephanie's awesome. I just want to throw that in, everyone. Okay. I was excited to hear about you branching into your own because the passion that you have, even from me talking to you yesterday, talking to you at that networking event, I can tell you have a heart for what you're doing. So thank
I
you.
do. Thank you.
All right, y'all. So we're getting ready to move on with our topic today. And here on Good Tea and Reads, I try to be fancy and use topics with the word tea because we're good tea and reads. And you may be like, well, what's tea? Tea is information. So we have good information. And reads are books that every now and again that I'll review that talks about mental health or I'll identify mental health concepts to share with you. So today, since we have Stephanie on the show, this topic is going to let you know what we're talking about today. And the topic name is everybody lean in to the computer. Lean in. It's called Neurodiversity, pouring into autism, ADHD, and mental health. That is our topic for today. Stephanie is excited about this topic. She is passionate and knowledgeable about this topic. We are going to pick her brain for this episode. Maximum potential.
Yeah.
So, Stephanie, we're getting ready to get started. You ready?
Okay. I'm ready.
All right. Stephanie, everyone that comes on Good Tea and Reads, I ask them this question.
Okay.
There's no right or wrong, and it could be your opinion. So, what is your definition of mental health?
Mental health is an awareness in our mind and our body of our reactions to our environment and the internal factors that are running our body system.
All right. I like that. See, short and sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting ready to talk about that today, and it's really going to tie into our topic. We're talking about neurodiversity. I like that. Stephanie, what inspired you personally and professionally to pursue a career and a business in the healthcare profession field?
So it started in my own family. My own son is on the autism spectrum, and we started this journey when he was about 7 years old, noticing things that just weren't quite adding up. So he was very reactive to outside stimulation, would absolutely have full meltdowns. Could see him struggling with identifying emotions and reacting to emotions. He's what is termed twice exceptional. So not only does he have a neurodivergent mind, the autism, the ADHD diagnosis, but he's also gifted. So us gifted folks, I self-identify, we intellectualize the problems in front of us and we can adapt and we can mask really well. So it was coming out of that stage in life. And about 7 years old, you start to figure yourself out and want your own self identity. And those things just were having system shutdowns. So we started searching and doing some diagnosing, going into therapies. And sure enough, autism came out. And we went to the Bryn Mawr Institute. We were in Philadelphia. We were at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. We met with all the experts. And that just kind of started it. And it was really interesting because what was given as standard therapies and things to do, he would just run through them super quickly. And it didn't quite reach the thing that needed help.
Mhm.
So that's where I think my passion and journey started, where I began researching. I began finding alternatives to the standard therapies that they're offering, petitioning the school for accommodations and things. There's no roadmap. Every individual is different. Every system is different. Every school system, every medical system that you're encountering is different. And there's no lighted pathway. There's no checklist. So that started it, is finding what worked best for him. Along comes our daughter, medically complex things. Also finding that she has ADHD, getting her diagnosed led to my diagnosis. So at 42 years old, went, wait, so that anxiety and depression was probably triggered by ADHD that I've been struggling with my whole life. So I'm late diagnosis ADHD, my own journey along with my children, and then coming into the workforce after being a staying at home mom, volunteering in schools, and just gravitating towards these really incredible kiddos that are misunderstood, that I just
Mhm.
seem to be able to speak the language. Like whether it's verbal, nonverbal, just energy, I speak the language and I love them and I want to be the voice for them. So,
I love that. Being the grandparent of three awesome children, I love to hear that. And I love to know when my awesome grandchildren, I like to
mhm,
call them, get
I love that.
connected with people that really care like you.
Oh, I find my friends, I call them my friends. I can find them in the wild all the time, and I love to just take a moment and let them know that I see them because more often than not, they're tucked behind they're hiding themselves. If they're the big, tall, goofy looking guy, my little golden retriever guys, I love them. I was like, "Hi, how are you?" And he's looking at my dog because I have Max, who's my sidekick, and he's part of my coaching business and will soon be my certified service animal. Um, be like, "Look, Max has 2 different colored eyes," and you grab a focus and you bridge that gap so we're communicating in a place that they feel safe, and he loved it, and then he's like, "Okay, bye." I'm like, "Bye, friend," and then you just keep going.
Stephanie, some people that may be tuning into the show may not be familiar with autism or ADHD, and someone in their family may have been recently diagnosed, or they may have been recently diagnosed. So I want to ask you this question. Is autism and ADHD the same thing?
No, but most often, if you're going in medical terms, it's kind of a comorbid, so something that coincides together quite often. And it's starting to be viewed under the same spectrum overall. So we're really identifying in the medical community that symptomology and triggers and treatments actually do seem to flow together. But biggest difference, and I kind of wrote this out so I made sure I had it right. ADHD is primarily attention, impulsivity, and executive function. Needing to do the thing and getting the thing done can be really hard. That's my, like, little tiny definition of ADHD. Gotta get the thing done, but there's something right there that just you can't catch it. Autism, on the other hand, is a social communication, sensory, and patterns of behavior. So
Okay.
they do overlap a lot of the times, but they're different conditions.
All right. Again, we're not doing any diagnosis on the show, anybody that's tuning in, but I do have another question for you along that line. So, if a person has not been diagnosed with ADHD or autism, are there signs that they may notice in themselves that would be helpful to talk about with a healthcare provider?
Absolutely. The simplest thing is that what I was talking about, that little thing you just can't get it done. If it's distraction and focus, if it's organization, if it's time management, girl, everything in my life has an alarm. Everything. And there's notes to organize me and post-its and all the things. Like I set myself up for success because I know what I need to do to continue through my day. So knowing or realizing that you might need that extra help or for some reason just life seems more difficult than it should be is a huge red flag. For the autism side, it's more overload of senses. So taste, touch, smell, sound, hugely with sound. That's a really early noticeable thing and something in late diagnosing that you just realize like, oh, I can't eat that food. You're not picky. You really might just have a texture sensitivity, and there might be ways of working through that to find a better balanced diet and still have your safe foods. Emotional regulation. So if your highs are high, your lows are really low, and trying to find or disconnect. So that's the other side of it is if you're not feeling anything at all, like you literally, your body and your mind has shut off, huge red flag. And then just feeling out of touch. If I call it peopling, if peopling is too much sometimes, maybe there's something we can do to help regulate that because it takes a lot of energy to put yourself out there. And we need to be out there because I've found this beautiful saying this week that the counterbalance to overwhelm is connection. And when we're
Okay.
not connected, we sit in that overwhelm. But when we reach out and find that connection around us, overwhelm just kind of flows away.
Wow. I like that.
Mhm.
Connection, it means so much. God, connection is such a powerful word and a powerful thing.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
That's what keeps us here. That's what keeps us going.
Yes. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So I do know in the mental health world, there's these things called stigmas, and that's the shame, disgrace, all of that. And unfortunately, stigmas are barriers that actually hinder us from getting the
Huge.
help that we need. So, Stephanie, can you help us understand what are some of the stigmas associated with living with ADHD or autism diagnosis?
So when I first saw this, the thing that came to me was name the thing. There is power in the naming. And I was like, wait, chat GPT, give me a quote. The beginning to wisdom is to call things by their proper name. That's Confucius. Like, we've been doing this for centuries upon centuries. People have a stigma against diagnosis. A diagnosis is power, absolute power, because once you find the thing, you can get help. There are resources. There are so many things that you can use in your life. I advocate the naming, I advocate for the diagnosis. It doesn't necessarily mean medication, but it could be. And I use medication as a tool to reach baseline so that you can self regulate your body. But if your body and your mind are absolutely in constant fight or flight or shutdown, we're not going to be able to communicate with your thinking mind to bring you further into where you want to be. So, medication is a huge stigma, but it's
Hmm.
a tool. It's not a cop out. It's not a fix. We can't fix these systems. We can't fix these problems. There is not a cure. We're not searching for a cure. I taught my children the world's not going to adapt to you. You have to adapt to the world. And in order to do that, we need to fill our toolbox with every stinking thing we can find that works for us. And we leave all the rest behind. And you're not weak. You're not lazy. You're not distracted. You're good enough. We are enough. And you have the things inside of you. We just need to be able to access it to move you forward.
You know something I hear a lot, Stephanie, from people with diagnosis or just newly diagnosed, that some people feel like they're broken. And I'm like, you're not broken. I like what you shared about naming it.
Yep.
This is what I have. This is
Hmm.
what I need to do. And really, on the mental health side, everyone that's tuning in, this is where we need to normalize. I like what
Absolutely.
I like what you were sharing about normalizing by naming, because I can say my physical health issues boldly. Like, I got my
Easily.
headache.
Absolutely. But if I say my anxiety is acting up, people are like, I don't know what
Is
to
that
do with that.
yeah.
I was like, can I get, to me, if you say it to me, I'm going, can I get you a glass of water? Can we take a deep breath? Do we need to walk away and take a moment? There's tools for it once you understand the condition.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I have a headache. And people, oh, you have a headache. Would you like an aspirin? Do you have
Hmm.
an aspirin? We have those conversations so normally. My stomach hurt. Do you have this or whatever cure you may want to offer? We say that. But just like you just shared, if I say my anxiety or I have depression, you know,
Hmm.
are you okay? Just get
Yeah.
over it. Get
And,
over it.
and
Leave that alone.
it's not a barrier to success. Hi, my name's Stephanie. I'm diagnosed bipolar, ADHD, complex PTSD. I'm still a successful functioning adult.
Right. Right.
It's not me. I'm not identifying with the diagnosis. It just happens to be part of my body system.
So now, Stephanie, I'm going to change the perspective for this question. What are some of the stigmas experienced by parents or caregivers caring for a person living with an ADHD or an autism diagnosis?
So, harsh reality is families that encounter these diagnoses, there's a 90% divorce rate.
Whoa.
Women are the primary caregivers. Men tend to take on a substantial amount of shame or denial in the diagnosis. And our family systems aren't set up for this. There needs to be more support in that family system for everyone. We don't need to just do social groups for the kiddos. We need to make sure mom and dad have the resources they have, that our social workers and our team members are integrating whole health family systems in these diagnosing and therapy programs.
Yeah.
Because it's just, you're sad, you're broken. This is your kiddo. You were supposed to know how to take care of this. And we don't know what we don't know. I mean, my own daughter with something easy to identify with, food allergies. I'd stand in the grocery store aisle bawling my eyes out because I didn't know how to feed my kid. And you're supposed to be able to know how to feed your kid. So that's a
Mhm.
simple thing, food, right? It was so complex. Well, it's the same thing with these other diagnoses. Like, we're standing in the medical hospital going, who's going to help me fix this? Where
Mhm.
do I go? Who do I ask? And those resources aren't necessarily as easily identifiable as they could be. And that's what I'm working towards, is finding those things, making the right connections, finding the resources for that diagnosis. What's your next step? Where does this integrate medically, educationally, and socially?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And I like what you said earlier, finding the tools for the toolbox.
Hmm.
This is why we claim it. This here is what I need to take care of this.
Yes. I love it. They're
Because,
huge.
yeah, stigma is the biggest barrier. So I have to share this with you. I notice in my mature age, everyone, that I have like stories to tell. I have a friend and her two children, they're awesome. I was going to say they're awesome children, but they're adults now. And when you were sharing about that divorce rate, I remembered when she was married to their dad and they were discussing her daughter, because her daughter is more severe than their son.
Hmm.
And he told her, "This is your fault."
Like,
Although there was substance use on his side and everything else, who knows what it could have been on his side. But he told her, "It's your fault that she's like this." And it's like what, a human?
yeah,
You know? What do you mean?
the
Yeah.
the denial is huge, and not able to take a piece of that. Like, there's a genetic component, my friends. If I find a child, I can guarantee you I can identify the parent just being in the playground. I know who belongs to who. There's a genetic component. There's environmental factors that are also exasperating certain things. But these little people came this way.
Yeah,
They're not broken. They're not wrong. They're just different.
right.
And we need to find the right recipe to communicate with them.
Right. Let's normalize that too, about them being different, because honestly, we're all different. You know,
Absolutely.
it's
I don't
interesting.
wanna be boring. I've said that
No.
from, oh my goodness, back to my Christian roots. Cookie cutter Christians was like,
Yeah.
"No, not me. Sorry. That's not here."
Yes. Like, we try to make it seem like they're so different. But I mean, I like what I like. You like what you like. We're different. But that
Yeah.
doesn't mean our different is different than their different. Like you
Right.
said, it's just a different need.
You put your pants on one foot at a time. You still gotta eat, you still gotta drink, and we still gotta sleep. So how we get from point A to point B, it looks a little different. but we still all functionally do the same thing.
Exactly. Are there any other barriers that individuals living with ADHD and autism may experience?
Access to healthcare, huge.
Hmm.
There's absolute deficit in this country for access and prioritizing mental health. We're coming along in that direction, but there's so much that is just not even screened for, which should be part of a regular routine. We should be screening mental health absolutely 100% from the get go with not only our kiddos, but also with the caregivers and the support that they need, I think. Um, there's low cost ways of doing things. There are, I mean, I even utilize AI. I love Rosebud. There's an AI system that you can use if you don't have access to therapy that you can start processing and naming things in your life and get feedback, response, and processing in a non judgmental format, 100% free and access to everyone. I absolutely highly support any type of support group. So go on Facebook, find a Facebook group that meets your need, whatever that is. If it's a parent thing, if it's an ADHD thing, if it's, I think I might have the autism, find a support group and find people that have like mindedness so that number one, you know you're not alone. There's more people out there than you would ever believe looking for the same information. Shared information is a wealth of knowledge. And you got to self advocate. You got to get into that
100%.
doctor's office. You have to make that appointment. And if you're struggling with that, there's people who can help you. You're a therapist. Me, I do it for free. And, you don't even have to talk to me. We can do it all through text if that's a barrier. That is my thing. I remove triggers and barriers so that we can move forward in life.
I appreciate people like you, Stephanie, and I'm not saying that because you're on the show. I do. I really do because me being a licensed counselor and people dealing with stigmas or whatever they're dealing with, if they're newly diagnosed, if they've been diagnosed and it's just getting harder to manage day to day, I don't expect everyone to come to me in
Right.
the counseling room. That's why I'm doing the podcast because my thing is if you don't get help with me, like in counseling or in therapy, go somewhere. And by you just sharing different resources out there, we're helping people would identify different avenues to go to. Not only that, it's helping them if they do have those stigmas. If I can go on AI and type in what I am dealing with, find out something, identify support groups, I will eventually get to the place of getting what I need in order
Yep.
to navigate life. Self advocacy is huge.
It is.
I've watched my daughter, I've watched my friend with the awesome community, and it doesn't even matter if they're a part of the awesome community. It could be anyone who's dealing with mental or physical challenges. You got to self advocate.
You
You
do.
gotta make sure that your voice is heard. If you're not being heard, then you need to find somebody else or you may need to go higher, but you can't give up in the self-advocacy. I have seen through my daughter, Stephanie, she has like, "If you don't get this in place by this time, I'm going here." Your
Ma'am, yes,
advocate
ma'am.
yeah, and I remember you shared that yesterday when we were talking
Absolutely.
about it.
The head of the special education of the district used to come to my child's meetings because I would say, "Oh, my friend, we're going to the X, Y, and Z," and it's federal law. And suddenly they're going, "Whoa, are you an attorney?" "No, I know how to Google, my friend. Google is power."
Yes. So don't give up on that self efficacy because I think sometimes when we're dealing with stigmas, some of us shrink when we get in front of experts because we don't know what to do with this. We don't know whatever's going on. We throw it out there. They tell us this, and we're like, well, they must be right. But if you don't feel like they're right or they're on the wrong track, please use your voice.
Oh,
Please.
absolutely. I mean, I could go to my psychiatrist tomorrow and I'm going to walk out with a list this long of prescriptions to take to manage my life. That doesn't work for me anymore. So I'm choosing a more natural path. But I've made progress with those medications in order to reach what I call baseline. So I can make those lifestyle choices at this point because I've moved beyond the reaction, fight or flight stage into I can make clear, conscious choices.
Yes. Yes. So, Stephanie, when you were talking earlier, when you talked about having the head honcho at the meeting, I was like, yes, this is what I talk about: power, connection, maximum potential. Can you share barriers that parents or caregivers may face trying to support people living with autism or ADHD?
Um, so the first step is making sure your doctor realizes that no, we're just not funny. We're not just quiet. We're not just acting out. We don't need more discipline. We need to make sure we're having clear conversations of what your day to day life looks like because they come in, they have 15 minutes to get in, get out, gone. I've encountered children at age 5, 7, 9, and I'm like, I'm sorry, your pediatrician didn't. I've met your beautiful child for 30 seconds, and I can tell you he's one of my friends. Like, come on here. Like, this is not hard to see. So it's write it down. Write it down, write it down, write it down. Because you're gonna forget and you're gonna get flustered and they're gonna have their checklist and they're trying to rush you out the door. Make sure you're telling them, my kid won't eat. My kid hears a loud noise and lies flat out on the floor, screams and throws a tantrum for 30 minutes. Every time they walk in the door from school, there's an absolute mental breakdown. Those are things that we don't think to tell the doctor,
Mhm.
but those are huge red flags for the doctor to say, wow, we're not coping. Something's triggering. Like there's reasons why it's not just a picky eater. I mean, sometimes it is, but that taste sensation, the noise, the unsettling, the fidgeting, okay? Use tools. I still do. I got my squishies here because it helps regulate me. So those things that you just feel in your mama heart that just aren't quite right, ask the question and keep asking the question. Take it to the school. Their job is to help support you. Ask the teacher. If the teacher's not listening, go up the chain because all you need is one email and they have to do a full evaluation for your child. The school system's set up to be there to support you, but you have to ask the right question.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, you do. You do. And once you ask the right question, connect with the right person, those doors will open.
They do. It's amazing. But you gotta ask. They're not gonna
Yes.
offer it. Like, unfortunately, life is not gonna show up at your door and say, here we go. You
Yeah.
have to go and say, like, something's not right. And I don't feel good about this. And I'm gonna stand here or sit in your office until we find a solution. And
Yes.
I've said
Agree.
those words. I'm like, no, I've refused to take my child home from the hospital. I was like,
Mhm.
until you find a solution, because this is not okay.
Can you share some examples of mental health challenges people living with ADHD or autism may face?
Um, Anxiety is huge. For me personally, I know like if the ADHD is out of check, the anxiety piece kicks in, then the depression follows after that, and then my self-regulation just can go out the window. So it builds into this pyramid of symptoms. So it's those first steps. It's the if you're feeling uncomfortable, if you're feeling unsure all the time, That's a red flag.
I agree. And again, if you're feeling other symptoms, please connect with somebody closest to you because you'll be surprised. Like you could actually Google, like we do, to kind of get a baseline on what's going on. But you will be surprised of some of the symptoms you may be experiencing that may be unique to you or maybe just less common, but it's actually a symptom.
Yeah.
So, Stephanie, being a caregiver while navigating your own life, can you share some examples of mental health challenges that parents or caregivers may face taking care of someone living with autism or ADHD?
The mental and emotion exhaustion is real because you're navigating your
Mhm.
own body system and theirs. So we need to find ways for self-care. We need to fill up our cup. And I'm a former flight attendant, so I'm all about the put your oxygen mask on before you put on the other ones because we need number one absolute thing, sleep. If you're not sleeping, I can tell you that is the very first sign of something being in balance. So many of the United States is absolutely sleep deprived. Insomnia
Mhm.
is on the rise. People don't talk about it. It's underreported. About every single person I encounter that I work with, one of the first things I ask, how's your sleep? Oh, that's your first sign. You need to do something to take care of that if you possibly can. If that's a better sleep routine, if that needs to be supported with medication, if you need to find ways of taking breaks. I know as single mamas, we don't necessarily get that. It's if you can go to the park and let them run around with somebody else, go to the pool. It's getting hot. It's Arizona. It's getting to 110. We go to the swimming pool. Just let them run it out and go talk to somebody if you can, or just be there and see them smile and see them happy for a little bit and take a deep breath. Breathing is the number two thing. First, sleep,
Mhm.
and then we got to breathe. And we don't because when we're all tensed up like this, you're taking super shallow breaths and you're not filling your body. We need oxygen. We need to breathe. And that's the first step in self regulation of anything that I do is teaching how to take that breath and be aware of your breath. And when things are really, really, really hard, just have to take the next breath and then the next thing will come. So I go down to absolute biological basics.
I'm into normalizing because I know it's so much that goes on here. Can we normalize the exhaustion that parents or caregivers experience? Some people feel so guilty, feel so bad that they feel this way, Stephanie. They do. They think they should be super mom, super dad. I shouldn't feel this way. I shouldn't feel frustrated. They need me. I have to care for them. I feel lousy for feeling this way.
And that's the piece that we have to bring that normalization to that life in itself is hard. And when we're navigating a diagnosis of unregulated being, you need to find something to support that. If it's a person, if it's a therapist, if it's the neighbor, if it's the my dog, there's finding ways of getting that support, that like feel good moment and understanding that you're not alone. Again, Facebook groups are fabulous for that. You can be just as anonymous as you need to be and just 5 minutes. You don't have to go down the rabbit hole, but to be like, oh my gosh, today was hard. And somebody else says, girl, I hear you. I cried. I sat. Okay. Full disclosure. I would feed my kids their full meal. One had food allergies, one had autism. So there was no once and done meal. Everything had to be special for everybody. I'm sitting on the other side of the counter on the floor with a glass of wine. That's how mama coped for a little bit. Not necessarily the healthiest, but they were fed, they were safe, and I took a moment. It's okay to do that and to take a moment for yourself, to step away and to realize they're good, they're safe. And I'm just going to sit here and breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay because we have to be regulated to be the presence for them, to be the stability for them, to be the advocate for them. And it's hard.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's why I offer free hugs and free Mac snuggles to all my friends.
Support groups are huge. I remember when my dad, when he was living, he was diagnosed with cancer. And, he was navigating it in the way, I don't know how I expected him to navigate it. This was pre licensed counselor days. I just felt like he was just moving on. I'm like, he's so nonchalant. He doesn't want to go to the doctor. I was here in Arizona. He was there in Texas. And I was like, this is so cool. And so I started feeling angry. Even though I felt like I was caregiving for the sidelines, I was feeling so mad. So I said, I'm going to find like this cancer caregiving support group. I said, I need something because this,
Mhm.
this is before I was a counselor. I pulled up and she was like, May I help you? I said, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I need. I said, my dad was just diagnosed with cancer. He's not taking it serious. He's doing all of this stuff and he makes me mad. And I said, I feel bad. She said, Oh, you probably hate him right now. You're probably real mad. And I was like, and she said, It's okay to have those feelings.
Absolutely. Because you're
It's
fighting so hard and it doesn't seem like they're fighting hard enough for you.
Yeah. And she gave me the resources. I went to a couple of groups. I felt so much better when I had to normalize that I was like, I felt like I was about to pull all my hair out. But yeah, so I just wanted to take a moment just to normalize that.
And that doesn't have to be a formal support group. I've joined the American Legion Auxiliary for my veterans and for families that have supported our military. That's a support group. You don't have to have a meeting. It's a community. There is support in community.
Yeah. Yes.
And it's showing up for church if that's your thing. It's
Yes.
finding some way to find those who walk the same path as you and can understand and can just reach out in some way, shape, or form. It could be a fist bump, it could be a wave, it could be a high five,
Yes.
but we need that connection.
In dealing with, those feelings and everything else, like you said, it's really important that we get that connection because if you're dealing with your situation on a daily basis, you start to feel isolated, that it's just you that's just dealing with this. And you are now responsible for processing how you feel while taking care of somebody. You're irritated, you're whatever, and you're just still trying to get through, probably dealing with a little shame and guilt also, or whatever you choose to deal with that day. Getting in that community to hear someone else say, Hey, I'm dealing with this. Hey, I get angry. Hey, I'm losing sleep. You'll start to feel like, oh man, it's not just me.
Yep.
You may start to feel like it's lifting. So, Stephanie, in addition to some of the strategies that you gave us, like therapy, medication, rest, sleep, I even breathe. Are there any other mental health practices that you feel could be helpful for people that are either living with autism, ADHD, or caregiving for someone?
So I kind of try and look at life in mind, body, spirit, and it's threefold. So if we're tackling our mind as far as maybe going to that psychiatrist, maybe doing the therapist, or reaching out in some way. So that's your mind. Then taking care of your body, we're going to make sure we're eating, we're drinking, we're trying to get some good nutrients. Sometimes any nutrients are good nutrients. I will advocate for that. I lived on my DoorDash and Amazon grocery. There's no shame in that. However, you got to get the food in your body, you do the thing. And spirit. So, whatever that looks like for you, finding some way to ground yourself. And if you don't have that peace, you've pushed things way, way, way too far down. And then we can start exploring that and opening that back up. And that starts with just trusting yourself, finding it in yourself to be like, I'm okay. I'm enough. I'm here today. And I've shown up. And 100% of my hardest days are behind me. And we made it. So you do keep showing up. You are strong. We've made it this far. So let's make today just a little bit better than yesterday.
I like that. Just a little bit.
Just tiny course corrections. I'm back to my airlines. Tiny course corrections makes a huge trajectory change.
It does. And it may be, I'm here. If you can even get those words out.
Yep.
I'm here.
I'm here.
All right. So you've given us so much information. Time flies when you're getting knowledge and having fun all at the same time. So I want to hear more about your business. Okay. And I want the viewers and listeners to hear more about your business. Can you tell us how to book appointments? Do you do virtual services or classes? And any website information, social media information you would like to share?
So our website is Maximum Potential. And you can book a discovery call directly through my website. Don't have to talk to anybody if you don't want to. And that'll get you a free discovery session that lasts for about 30 minutes just to see where you're at and what you're looking for. Very simple. Next step would be a more intensive 90-minute session where we start putting strategies together, where we identify what those triggers and barriers are, what your goals would be. If you even have goals, it's okay to not have goals, because I got stuck with a life coach a couple years back and he kept harping on this, gotta have a goal, gotta have a goal. I wasn't ready for goals yet. I needed to function in my life. So we will start with hygiene, time management, getting a routine together. We got to put our lives in a functional method before we can even get to the goal setting part. So I bring it way back down to basics. That's why I call it life skills coaching. These are skills that we're not necessarily taught, but once we start utilizing those tools, the progress, it just makes life a whole lot easier. And it's looking for what works for you. What works for one person is not going to work for another. I don't have programs written out line by line, checklists, huge forms to fill out. It's very simple because it's actually going to depend on where you're at and where you want to go. And if literally your goal is to get out of the house, we'll get out of the house. You need to know how to go grocery shopping because it's too hard, it's too overwhelming. We will break it down and make it simple step by step so that we're making forward progress. You could be the executive who's stuck in a job and terrified that everybody knows that you hate this, but this is where you're at. Well, nobody needs to hate their life.
Mhm.
So for that friend, we're going to identify what are we scared of and what do we really want? What's keeping us trapped in this place that's keeping us from enjoying our life and moving forward? It's all about that forward motion. So I offer anything from, honestly, depends on where you're at. So if we're talking a kiddo, it's probably in home. I would love to be in school, but they don't really like me. I'll come to your IEP meetings and get all the resources you need. I can advocate there, but they don't like me in schools. That's okay. We'll do home. We'll do after school. Kiddos, we go where the problem is. So if it's getting into the car in the morning, if it's getting dressed in the morning, brushing teeth, we can go all the way down to basics and hygiene. Or it's setting up a homework routine so that you're not fighting to get homework done every single night. And finding the resources why it takes 45 minutes to read one page at a time over and over again, and they're not making progress, and their homework is a disaster, and the teachers can't stand this, that, and the other. I'm always getting emails. One step at a time, we can break those down. So in home, mostly for my kiddos, my teenagers, depends on where you're comfortable. Um, so I don't have a physical office, but I do utilize collaborative spaces. So we can meet in a collaborative space. I have locations scouted in Chandler, Mesa, Scottsdale, where we'll rent a space that kind of looks more like a traditional therapy setup, but I bring in all my fun stuff. I've got toys, I've got fidgets, I've got a diffuser, sound machine, and we just make it a safe space if you need to be outside of your environment, if that feels safer for you. So for me, in order to facilitate effectively, I have to make sure that my client feels safe. And then we move from there.
Okay, awesome. If someone is watching that lives outside of Arizona, do you provide services for them?
We can do virtual. This works.
Okay. All right.
It
That's
might
not
be a little tricky. I might get you to put your phone on some sort of we'll get a lanyard thingy and walk around and do the thing, but we'll make it work.
all right. That's nice to know. One more question, one more bonus
Okay.
question. Do you only work with children or do you work with children and adults?
I actually, and the emphasis on this was that transition period when I started it. So we're talking about our adolescents, our young adults, those love the movie Failure to Launch. You got one of those sitting in your house? One of those kiddos that's in their teens, 20s, 30s, 40s that might need a little loving direction. We can do that. And all the way up to my executives that are stuck in that overwhelm and say, like, I you're self-identifying, late diagnosed, or just need somebody to like process with.
Okay.
And I'm not your therapist, but I can get you to a good one.
No.
I will help you find the resources, whatever that is. So that's also part of my services is I will absolutely find you the services you need and screen the doctors, the therapists, the collaborators that we need. That's part of my services is that I will make sure and find that for you. I won't tell you go find one because that's overwhelming.
Yes. Thank you so much. And I will have Stephanie's information in the episode description. So this has been a treat. Stephanie, before we close out, do you have any last words for our viewers and listeners?
Just breathe. The next breath, the next step. We got this. And we're going to make today a little bit better.
Thank you so much. Well, this has been amazing, everyone. We got through the tech issues. As you see, Stephanie is awesome. I probably need to book a Discover call after this, dealing with this experience but with the tech issues. But again, great episode. Another one in the books. So we will be back again with fabulous guests, or I may be here solo. This is Kimbralon B. I'm signing off. Have a good one. Take care,
Bye.
everyone.